Spider-Man Spider Shadow issue 1, the first issue of a 4-part miniseries. And the thing about this is it's kind of like a relaunch of a What If. Feels like it's a bit of a relaunch of What If. Now, if you don't know what If is, back in like what the 80s or like mid 70s to the 80s, maybe a little bit of the 90s, Marvel did this series called What If, and essentially it was, here's a story that you know, and it's like, what if it had a different outcome? What if, Captain America never got frozen in time? What if this character became Venom? What if this character got Thor's hammer? What if Uncle Ben was still alive? What if Gwen Stacy was still alive? What if Jane Foster became Thor? Which is kind of ironic, knowing, initially in the main continuity that, she became Thor. She got Thor's hammer, and it's kind of a little bit more ironic knowing that in Thor Love and Thunder, Jane Foster, played by Natalie Portman, is going to at least have the hammer. She's going to at least get the power of Thor. So decided to relaunch this. Marvel Comics decided to relaunch this, and as they do, and it's no problem, you're a trademark character for good reasons. They start with a Spider-Man book, and they decide to do what if Peter Parker never got rid of the black suit? What if he became Venom? Because we all roughly know the story, even if you've seen Spider-Man 3 or seen like animation, in animation or whatever, we roughly know the origins of Venom, right? So where like there's this alien suit or this science experiment, launches onto Peter, creates his black suit, gives him more agility and power and all these things, results in changing his mood, of him being a little bit more violent, a little more moody, a little bit more vicious, him kind of giving like a more don't care attitude. Sometimes he does the Saturday Night Fierce, does Saturday Night Fever walks across the streets, all that kind of stuff. But the moment he realizes it's a similar bond, it is dangerous, all that kind of thing, he gets rid of it, and then it launches Eddie Brock, and he becomes Venom. But it's like, what if, Peter gets told that there's a symbiotic relationship and it's dangerous and blah 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 blah, and Peter's like, push off, yeah, sure, I know I agree scientists when I see one. We witches, you quiet down, go stop Doctor Doom or something. go fight Mole Man or something. I'll call you when Galactus shows up or something. I don't know. So I just finished the first issue, and I would say it is a good like setup issue. That's essentially what it is. It is here's the setup. This is the concept, because initially when you hear the version of what if this happened, probably the first issue essentially just reminding people this is what has been happening. And this is what's been happening in this particular version of the characters. This is what's happening in the characters' lives right now. This is what's good. Basically just giving a rehash or a basic reminder of where everybody was. And giving us a sense of reminders. Even if we know, just giving us like a reminder about the black suit and how it is and what it was. And knowing that Peter doesn't know how dangerous it is. And also is we get a little bit of the classic here, which is something bad happens and he takes it onto him and thinking it's all his fault. So Gwen Stacy died, and Uncle Ben died, and there's certain events that dealing with Aunt May and Mary Jane, Black Cat, and how he feels responsible that I can't save them, and if I can't save them, there's no, I need the black suit. It's going to save more people's lives. So you get that slight reminder of things. But it is essentially a setup issue. It's a good setup issue. It is a good, like, the scene between him and Wee Witches getting information about the black suit. It's it's just, we know what it does, but Peter doesn't, so it's kind of a bit of a reminder to Peter. The stuff with, I will say this, the stuff with Hobgoblin is really good. Like, I don't know, something about, like, even, like, I'm a massive Spider-Man fan. I know, I like my spy being quippy and all that, but it's always interesting seeing, like, him being a little bit more edgy. Like, he's stare-tacting villains, he's threatening villains, he's doing, like, he's more brutal than he is normally. And it's kind of this nice, with Peter, it kind of with the Hobgoblin, it just works really well, and to the point when the end happens, I don't want to spoil the end, you get a little bit of a holy shit moment. And when the ending happens, it does feel like, okay, now things are going to progress. Now things are going to have a life of its own and kind of move away from the story that we normally know. And it's it works. It works in a way. It works in a way, life way. Like the stuff, like the scene between. I try not to hear spoilers here, guys. The scene between him and Black Cat, him contemplating of how his techniques, he's kind of like, Venom, but he's also Peter, so he's having that contemplation thing with himself. It's a pretty damn good. I love the art, the art of this, because the Venom story of, the black suit and A-Bug becoming Venom, what would happen in the 80s, so you kind of get that 80s art that kind of works in this kind of a modern writing context, which kind of works well with it. It's always weird to talk about first issue or first episode when it's just setting out the groundwork, and it's all about how the groundwork work and how it does that fold. And so far, I'm sold. I don't know about you, but I have never seen a Spider-Man horror book. Some people might say, "Oh, you can check this one out," but it does feel a little bit different when things turn into Alien,